love testing our skills against a well-designed video game boss. However, the guys in this video don't belong in that category. They don't play by the rules, and they provide a challenge in the worst kind of way. Get ready for our top 10 video game bosses who don't fight fair.
What the hell is that?
It appears to be a machine life form that has adapted to the desert environment.
Nier Automata is a great action game with lots of epic boss battles. The fights are very challenging but always fair. The same can't be said for Hegel. He's a very powerful foe that deals a lot of damage. This guy flings a crazy amount of projectiles at you, which are almost impossible to dodge. It's hard to keep track of all the madness that's happening on your screen. You better make sure that you are leveled all the way up before starting this fight. Tyrant has always been an unstoppable force in the Resident Evil series. That's why the encounter in Resident Evil Code Veronica is so unfair. You need to fight him inside the cargo hold of a plane, and escaping is out of the question. There's very little room to dodge his attacks, and no extra ammo lying around. So you're pretty much screwed if you run out of bullets. However, the developers seem to have learned their lesson in the Resident Evil 2 remake. The parts where Tyrant chases you in this game are thrilling and never become unfair. Talking about facing bosses in crammed environments, we have to mention the Capra Demon. This boss from the original Dark Souls wouldn't be hard to beat in a normal arena, but you need to fight him in a room that's the size of a shoebox. He and his dogs bum rush you the moment you step through the fog. There's hardly any room to keep your distance and learn his attack patterns. This makes for a very chaotic and cheap fight in the otherwise excellent Dark Souls. Fighting games are known for having extremely difficult final bosses. Dead or Alive 4 also has one in the form of Alpha 152. The attacks of this green hologram do a ridiculous amount of damage. She can counter your punches and kicks with flawless accuracy. It's also very hard to get close to her as she keeps teleporting all over the place. It's a completely unbalanced fight with a final boss who doesn't play by the rules.
You took the CFR jack.
I took it back. I don't care how messed up you are, Paul. You're not taking it from me.
I don't want it! I just want it gone. Forever.
We really enjoyed Quantum Break, even though it certainly wasn't perfect. That lasted all the way up until the final boss, where the fun quickly turned into frustration. Paul Serene sends a ridiculous amount of enemies after you. To make things worse, he charges up and unleashes a devastating explosion that will kill you on impact. So you need to make sure you stay out of the danger zone while shooting at loads of enemies. It took us so many tries to defeat this terrible final boss.
I want to see a nice, clean fight. Touch up.
The story mode of Fight Night Champion plays a little bit like a Rocky movie, so of course they saved the most challenging fight for last. However, the developers really overdid it with Isaac Frost. This guy is straight up unbeatable in the first couple of rounds.
Oh, and there he lands the right hand well. Wow! And Andre Bishop now rise up off the canvas.
You need to evade his overpowered punches and just try to survive. He hits like a truck, so your dodging needs to be perfect. It takes a very long time before you can even attempt to do some damage yourself. This has to be one of the most unbalanced fights in gaming.
How bad is it, guys?
Oh, it ain't pretty. But we can handle it.
Who will emerge a champion? Fight!
Street Fighter IV was such a great game back in the day. It brought back the fighting game genre in a big way, but unfortunately, it also has a cheap final boss. Seth is the stuff of nightmares. This final boss ticks all the boxes. Long combos, overpowered specials, and the ability to copy the attacks of any fighter in the game. Fighting him feels just plain unfair and simply isn't very fun. Capcom, why did you have to include such an awful final boss in your awesome fighting game?
The power of Shao Kahn. Is that your best?
Shao Kahn is one of the most unfair fighting game bosses ever made. This guy is just the worst in multiple Mortal Kombat games. The developers even admitted that they made him unfair on purpose. He was supposed to make players angry so they would pump more quarters into the arcade machine. This unfair final boss does a ridiculous amount of damage. He also likes to spam the same moves over and over again. His fighting style sure isn't pretty, but we guess it gets the job done.
11 world-class contenders. Take them down with your controller, beat them all, and you've got a shot at Tyson's title.
Mike Tyson was at the peak of his career when Nintendo asked him to be a part of Punch-Out! He was pretty much unbeatable in real life, so the developers also gave him godlike stats in the game. This final boss made so many young kids cry back in the 80s. Getting hit once was enough to knock you out cold. So you needed to dodge every strike and wait for an opening to do some damage yourself. Beating Mike Tyson in Punch-Out! Is still one of the most impressive feats in gaming today.
But for that, you've got to beat Mike Tyson.
Stand by and down. Fight! ダメになります。クリア。ダメになり。
The final boss in our Canna Heart doesn't even pretend to fight fair. She can generate health during the battle, so your only option is to keep attacking her. Meanwhile, she can destroy your entire health bar in just a few strikes. Her supers are ridiculously overpowered and will kill you in just one hit. She keeps throwing projectiles at you, or she can just reverse your controls for fun. Yeah, this final boss can pretty much just kill you anytime she wants. Those were 10 video game bosses who don't fight fair. How many of these bosses did you beat? Let us know in the comments, and we'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel.